Hello everybody. Well, today I'm continuing the Connecting Your Social Soul Self series, and I wanted to first begin with examples of connecting yourself. There was a couple people that actually inquired about some ways that you can connect with yourself, so I'm gonna begin with that. So some ways of connecting with yourself that I found that have worked is picking a time and a place for meditation and prayer. When you're able to identify a place that is comfortable for you, and hello whoever's joined, comfortable for you, and it's peaceful, it's quiet, you can actually be able to connect with yourself a little bit better. So been in a quiet place, it makes it a little easier because the world around us gets very rowdy and crazy, and so it's hard, especially if you have children or other obligations. You have a lot of people living in your house. Sometimes it's very hard for you to be able to find a place for you to be able to sit and be quiet and just kind of relieve yourself of the day. Another thing that you can do to connect with yourself is to discover what helps you relax, because sometimes you can't focus or take the time to actually understand what is going on with you if you're not relaxed. If you still have everything on your mind that's going on in your life, there's no way for you to really connect with yourself because you're not able to relax. So one thing that you can do is find a place that you can relax. So some people find it good to be able to go in their room and just lay across the bed and relax, because that's one of the places that you get most comfortable in is your bed. So just taking that time out to relax and just, being able to breathe and take in quietness goes back to that quiet place. Being able to take in quietness and relax. That's one thing you can do. Or it can be just outside on your back porch. That's a way to find a place to relax and so you can get quiet. That's a way to connect with yourself. What is it that you need to feel happy or revived? That's another way that you can connect with yourself. Sometimes people don't know what it is that makes them happy, so they can't connect with themselves. So if you're having a challenge with figuring out what makes you happy and it helps you revive, then and it's been a while since you actually can remember when you were happy, try to think back maybe even 10 years when you were happy and you were doing a lot of things, or 5 years or 2 years, or just even a month ago. Like, what were you doing to make you happy? Was it playing a game? Was it reading a book? Was it going out with a friend? Did you lose contact with someone that, because of life dealt you some cards and you just kind of disconnected with people? Or even think about, like, what was your favorite pastime? I know one of my favorite pastimes is, reading and looking at movies, just laughing, thinking about your pastimes. For those that are coming on right now, I am just giving some examples of connecting with self. People have mentioned that they wanted some examples of ways to connect with themselves, and so finding what helps you revive and makes you feel happy again. And sometimes you have to think back to the time before you experience exhaustion or happiness to understand exactly what it is that makes you feel revived or alive. And make a list. Sometimes we forget about, the things that make us happy and make us feel good. So sometimes you just have to sit down and make a list. And so that goes back to going in that quiet space and sitting down and making a list of things that you enjoy or things you would like to do that you haven't done, and just making a plan. That goes up to trying things that you never discovered before. And that's whatever works for you. Like, if you have never went out and swam in the lake, take your time to go out and swim in the lake. If you've never experienced fishing before, go out and try to find someone who you know that fishes, and they might want to go fishing. So try things that you've never done before, and try to experience those things. So connecting with yourself also means, it doesn't necessarily mean sitting in a corner and not doing anything. It just necessarily means that you're doing things that you like, and you're gaining peace from those things. Hello everyone. And so when you also have to make time for these things. So whenever you discover what it is that you want to do, you have to make time for those things. For me, I always have to schedule my self-care on Saturdays. Saturday for me is self-care Saturdays. I'm going to do whatever I want to do on Saturdays. And more than likely, whatever I'm doing on Saturday has been planned for a while. So I kind of, self-care Saturday is a way that I have to connect. I have to connect with myself and make sure that I feel good, because during the week I'm meeting everybody else's needs, and I'm trying to figure out what helps everybody else, and help them figure out whatever, what helps them. And so I have to make sure Saturday is my day to connect with myself. That's why it's self-care Saturday. So I do whatever I want, I go wherever I want, I just enjoy myself. And even if it, like this past Saturday, it was just me, I was literally exhausted this past Friday. I think I probably went to bed early. But Saturday, I just cleaned all day long, because that was something that I needed to have a sense of peace, and to feel good. And that's the way I connected with myself. And so, Demetrius, you're not making me laugh. I'm ignoring you. So, that was my way of connecting with myself, is taking the time out and cleaning, and that gave me a sense of peace. And so scheduling, and if you schedule your time with yourself, to connect with yourself, then you are able to be more productive in life. And so if you get off a schedule, because you will get off a schedule, sometimes things, life throws you off, so you will get off a schedule. And so if you get off a schedule, simply just get back on schedule again. Just if one week you didn't do what you didn't spend that 10 to 20 minutes to yourself, or you didn't do what you wanted, reschedule it. Continue to go forth. Don't feel bad because you didn't take that time for yourself. Just continue to go forth and do it. So and another thing is just be spontaneous. Do random things. It doesn't have to be scheduled all the time. Sometimes you just have to be random. Like sometimes my husband and I, we just go randomly. We just go places, and so we take that time just to be spontaneous and random. Sometimes things work better when you don't plan them, and as long as you're doing it within your means. But those are just some ways to connect with yourself. Hello everyone. I see my husband was trying to make me laugh, but I'm not dealing with him. I'm not going to get unfocused. He told me I was easily distracted last time. So if you all noticed that I was distracted last time, yes, I was distracted. And that had a lot to do with more nerves than anything. So I'm not allowing my husband to distract me this time. So let's get to connecting with others. This week, this is the social part, connecting your social soul self. So once you're able to connect with yourself, and connect with your soul, the soul part of you, with God, when you're able to connect with God and yourself, you learn a lot more things about yourself, and you're able to do more when you've taken that time to connect with self and God. And so that's the social soul, or the self and soul part. So we're going to get to the social part. So I want to hear what you all do to connect with others. So I see my husband, of his way of connecting with others is laughter. He's a comedian. I told him that he should be on somebody's stage, but I don't think he would do it. So his way is making people laugh. So there's many ways that people connect. I want to hear how you all connect with other people. Sometimes people connect through social media. You know, there's introverts that don't want to do much else outside of social media. They rather just connect with other people through social media. And there's extroverts, you know, or those semi-introverts slash extroverts that like to go out and mingle with people, some or all the time. And so what do you all do to connect with other people? Anybody got something they want to say? Remember, this is a talk back session, so I would like for you all to talk back with me. So some things that I do to connect with other people is sometimes, like, I have friends that I connect with, like, we might not see each other maybe every 3 to 4 months, sometimes a little bit longer than that, and we just plan anything that works for us. The last time we got together, you know, we just sat by the pool and had some food and talk and just caught up and did a little bit of swimming, but I myself did some swimming, you know, but we that's one way you connect with other people. Just scheduling, you know, something just simple. It doesn't have to take a whole lot. Everybody bring one thing, you know, what makes it easier on everybody. Another way you connect with people is networking events. There's a lot of networking events out now that if you're in business for yourself, there's a lot of networking events around the cities, especially here in the Triangle area. There's a lot. That's one way to connect with other people. Sometimes you just talking on the phone is something as simple as talking on the phone with other people. That's a way of connecting. Listening is a good one. Listening is a way to connect with someone. When you listen, they can feel that you are understanding them a little bit more and you're taking in what they're saying and you care. So connecting with others, let's speak of like intimate relationships. So when you connect with others, there's some things that, you know, I thought that was very important when connecting with others. I thought it was important to consider what's good for your mind, body, and soul. So when connecting with other people, you have to consider what's good for you in general. You don't want to have to, especially when you're starting over and starting anew and trying to do something different. Say if you've been, just an example, if you've been hanging around a crowd that was no good for you, then you will want to ease your way into a new atmosphere. So you might even want to just start with one person because this was good for you because it's something new. So just connecting with someone, you know, you wouldn't normally talk to, that would be a way of connecting with someone, especially if you're starting over. But starting over requires you to be, you know, exposed to new things in general, which includes not the same things, not the same people. It requires you to get out of your comfort zone. And so you have to consider what's good for you. Just point blank. Hugs and kisses, yes, it's a way that you connect with other people. It's very common ways. Handshakes is another way that you connect with people. So when you're considering what's good for you, that has to come from what the connecting with self, from with the connecting itself. So you wouldn't know what's good for you if you had not connect with yourself. And so by connecting with yourself, you can get an idea of what's important for you, what works for you, what's good for your mind, body, and soul. If you are trying not to use drugs or alcohol, then you would not go back to an environment that has you exposed to drugs and alcohol. You have to consider what's good for you. So if you're not trying to have sex anymore, that you really want to, you know, change your way of connecting with people and building relationships with the opposite sex, or whomever you're having, you know, sex with. But if you want to change the way your way of connecting with people, you have to start over new and not expose yourself to the things that you once did before. And by doing that, like I said, it goes back to connecting with yourself. You have to take that time for yourself and understand, okay, what did you do wrong? What do you need to change? You know, and if you don't know what to change, you always seek out help. And to someone who you think is doing it right or has, you know, experienced that change as well. You know, even your peers, there's people around you, you never know who has experienced, well, you should know. If there's people around you, you probably know who has experienced some of the similar things that you have experienced and how they change their ways. So connecting with yourself requires that you know, set expectations for yourself. Have a vision of what you would like your life to look like. And with that vision, you are able to go ahead and qualify. And this is what knowing what's good for yourself, that's what qualify part of Connect, Qualify, Commit. Because you're qualifying, you're setting boundaries, you're setting standards for yourself. I hope you all are following me. But by taking that time yourself, you're taking that time to understand who you are, what do you want, and what do you want to, you know, be. And so that helps you when connecting with other people, because then you know what you can accept and what you can take and what you can't take. And so that if you are starting anew, don't be afraid to not be exposed to the things you're used to being exposed to, and try new things. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try people that you might think is weird. You know, some people you think is really weird initially when you're interacting with them, but there are some really good things that once you connect with them, you can really learn a lot of things, you know, and you can relate to them, you know. And it might feel awkward because of something new is out of your comfort zone, but, you know, weird, just because they look weird, they act weird, that doesn't mean they're not good for you. It's just something that's unfamiliar to you. So so you have to do what's good for you, and that, you know, and that's the, you know, the soul part, because, you know, sometimes that we can go back to what we know is familiar. Sometimes we're easily going back to what's familiar to us because it's comfortable, and that's called homeostasis. We go back to what's comfortable to us. And so by being vulnerable, which causes us to be vulnerable, when we're vulnerable to unfamiliar situations, we can be exposed to those things that are good to us, even if it's strange and awkward, you know, at the beginning. So you have to consider your expectations. You know, you consider what's good for you, and you also consider what's your expectations of these relationships that you're getting into. So, and I'm not speaking of just like, I'm not just speaking about just the male-female relationships, spousal relationships, the French. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about business relationships. I'm talking about personal relationships, spiritual relationships. You know, those kind of all relationships, you have to consider what's good for you, because we can easily think because this relationship, because it's a business relationship, we think it's good because they're in business. But you know, there's always things you have to consider when you're dealing with people in general. And so let's see what y'all saying. So starting over, we all need that to me. Yes, you definitely need me time. And if you're not taking the me time, you don't really know how to start over. You can't really determine how to start over if you're not taking that time by yourself. And so that is definitely less necessary when you're starting over. And thank you, Alan. Al, should I say. You definitely have to take time to yourself and understand what it is what you need, and seek God about what it is that He desires for you, because He knows, better than we know. He knows the beginning and the end. And so He knows the plans for our life pretty much. So whatever His plans are, they're not to harm us. And so we have to be able to trust Him in that process of getting to know who we are and what his plan is for us. So when you qualify somebody, you know, these people for your life, whether they be, you know, business relationship, personal, social, and spousal relationships, if you're dating or you're just out mingling, you have to qualify people, you know, for your life. And that consists of, how do you expect to be treated? You know, what good or bad would you allow in your life? How will you treat other people? How are you vulnerable? You know, how willing are you to be vulnerable with other people? So it's a lot of things to consider, and to not, by considering these things, don't isolate yourself because you think it's too much. If you think it's too much, seek help. If you don't know where to start, seek help. Ask for help. One of the biggest mistakes that we can ever make is not asking for help. So we all really need to ask for help when we don't know what we need to do. It's a challenge. You know, it requires us to let go of our ego and our pride, because, you know, we have to ask for help. But it's important that we ask for help when we don't know what we're doing. And another thing too is that, you know, with expectations, those expectations start with you. So if you don't know what you expect, people will generally treat you whatever way they feel like they want to treat you, because you really don't have any expectations for, you know, them. So I have learned to set great boundaries. The expectations are definitely boundaries. So if someone's not treating me the way I feel like I need to be treated, if they're yelling at me, I shut it down real quick. Like, look, I'm not having this conversation with you because you're yelling at me. If they're taking advantage of me, look, okay, this is not how this relationship is going to work. You're not going to take advantage of me. This is what I expect of you. And this is what I expect of me. And so because I expect this of me, I'm not going to allow you to do this to me. And so, and it takes a lot, and that itself takes confidence, because once you know who you are and connected with yourself, then you have that confidence enough to be assertive in saying that this is what I will and will not allow in my life. So boundaries is a huge thing. So I don't know. So y'all talk to me. Tell me what, like, how do you consider, like, how do you connect with people, and are you good at, you know, letting people know what they can and can't do with you? And so I'm gonna draw something while you're sitting here. So I have drawn something. Hopefully you all can see it. So it is a piece of paper with circles, and it has me on the inside. So me might look backwards on here, but me. So this is important because this is a sheet of paper that demonstrates boundaries. How close you allow people to get to you. So here, this is like the innermost, like super close. Of course, this is like the outer, and here's like the extreme barrier. So I'm gonna write some stuff in here that demonstrates like who I will let get very close to me, and hopefully y'all can see it. I don't know why I'm writing with a red pen, but hopefully you all can see this. So most importantly, in the middle, that's in my inner circle, I have, I'm gonna put, this is just some examples. I have God, I have me, I have my parents, I have my husband. Those are just some examples of my inner long-handed spoon. Yes, and sometimes you do have to deal with people from a long-handed spoon because you have boundaries. You won't let people get close to you as as these people. These people don't get as close to you as, well, no, the people you deal with the long-handed spoon will probably be out here. pretty much, you know, right out here, you know, give you some space. So they're not as close to these people right here. So some people that you may deal with the long-handed spoon, let's say, let's see what those are. I'm gonna write some things in here. Coworkers, let's see. Doctor, let's see. Cousin. I'm just writing some things in so I can kind of give you all an idea what this boundary circle would look like. I'm writing really sloppy. So listen, I'm just writing random stuff in here. So this is no particular people. Alright, so here's some examples. So the people that I would let get really close to me, of course, is God, my parents, my husband. Okay, and this next part, this is like a little, you know, they're a little distance. They don't know your ins and outs. They don't know the ins and outs about you. They don't know the deep, intimate things about you. So they'll be a little further out, but they're still close. Like your doctors, you know, when you visit your doctors, they know a lot of things about you. So you provide, you know, information about them. Your cousin, say it's cousin Emma, or Aunt Jean. This is just random names. I wish I could turn this around, but Aunt Jean would go in here. Your childhood friend, maybe your college friend. You know, they're closer to you, but they're not as close to you. You don't tell them all the things that you would, you know, God and your husband or your wife or whomever that is. So in the outer part, you know, you have your co-workers, you know, your associates, whether they be business or, you know, social associates. You have the police. You have your cousin Kathy. You know, she ain't as close as, you know, your other cousins, because Kathy talks too much and she tell all your business, and so you just deal with her from a distance. So these are some examples of how to keep boundaries with people. You know, everybody doesn't have to be intimately close to you as God and your husband or your wife, or your parents. They're not that intimately close to the people that you can confide in. Then you have those people who are a little bit closer to you. They know a little something about you, but you know, then you also have those people that, you know, are a distance. And so that's what we have to do. We have to, you know, set boundaries with these people and have them, hello everybody that just joined. We have to keep, you know, distance. And so, you know, who do you allow in? Who do you allow to get close to you? Who do you allow to know the ins and outs about your life? Who knows your deep, you know, the deep things about you? So you have to create those boundaries, and with those boundaries, you can't, you know, define those boundaries without connecting with yourself, connecting with God, you know, knowing what it is that you need to be doing and have some direction. When you're connecting with yourself and you're connecting with God, you have some direction. And so being able to do that is very important. So if you can't do that, then of course you're getting into bad relationships, you know, relationships that are not suitable for your life and that are contributing or reintroducing you to that old life that you were living. Because, you know, the whole point of this is, you know, connecting with self. You know, you're trying to qualify yourself, you know, and others to your life so you can live a better life. And so if you're tired of, you know, last week we talked about those, you know, those hidden places, you know, those dark places. And so if we're trying to overcome those dark places, we can't reintroduce ourselves to things that may expose us or trigger us to go back to that old life or to go back into those dark places. So I had one answer about how you connected with others, how you deal with others. So how do you all deal with others that, you know, you meet and you're not so sure about whether or not that what kind of relationship you should have with this person? So how do you deal with them? I want to hear some things that you all do as far as that. Or what are some challenges that you experience when connecting with others, especially when you're trying to make a change in your life? And also when you make a change, while you're answering, somebody's giving me an answer to that. When you're trying to make a change in your life, you are often exposed to those things that you don't want to be exposed to. So it's not always going to be easy to not be exposed to what you were trying to get away from. You know, it's hard to start over. It's hard to, you know, connect and be new again, especially when you're still trying to work through those things that you were kind of getting out of. So, okay, I said listening to my surroundings. Certainly. Having your eyes and ears open is definitely a great thing to do. If you hear people talking about drama, you know, you're trying to get away from that. You know, you have to then keep your distance. Okay, this is not the type of, you know, people that I'm trying to be around. You know, if they're, you know, talking about people, they're probably going to be talking about you when you're going around. So I try to distance myself. I don't like to really talk about people, excuse me, because, you know, when you're with other people, when you're connecting with people, this is one thing that we do make a mistake with. When we get around other people, we're often talking about other people versus talking about what we can do to better ourselves. And so people should not be the topic of discussion when we're with other people. When we're trying to connect with other people, we shouldn't use people to, sorry y'all. So when we're trying to connect with other people, we should not use other people's lives to connect with other people. Unless it's something good. Like if you see, okay, you were saying, girl, you see that, you know, Diana's daughter graduated. You know, that's something good to talk about. You know, you're talking about the, you know, the accomplishments of other people, and, you know, those are the good things to talk about. But if you're talking about how Diana's husband left her last week and, you know, she had to go sell her body just for her daughter to get, you know, her cap and gown, then that's something that you should not be connecting with other people about. Yeah, I know that was really extreme, but it's real out here. Sometimes it's like that. But connecting with people over, you know, good things, not talking about other people. So those good things would be, you know, what can we do to help each other? Like, how can we learn about investments? You know, what are we doing? Or if you're going into business, how can I help you? You know, if you're going to, you're trying to, you know, go back to school, how can I help you? You know, those kind of things. It should be, when we connect with others, it should be about joining and loving on each other versus, you know, connecting over the lives of other people, the bad things about what's going on in other people's lives. When we connect with other people, you know, we should be, you know, developing each other and growing each other, and not tearing somebody else down. And I think that's a challenge that, you know, we have, especially with the Black culture. You know, we have a challenge with connecting over good things and building each other up and using positive information to build each other and to love on each other. You know, we shouldn't be talking about other people. You know, sometimes it happens because, you know, sometimes we can't get away from it, because it might be something bad that's going on in our life, and that's why our way of venting. Yes, that's good, but, you know, if you're going to vent, and that be it. And you figure out what are you going to do next. So, you know, we have issues, but we don't have to stay in those issues and wallow in them and create a drama over them. So listening to your surroundings and hearing your surroundings, that was a good one, Toya. Watching and listening to your surroundings, I'm sorry, is a good one. So those are ways to connect with other people. Other ways that you can probably connect with people is just, if you're challenged with something and you know they're good at it, just ask for help. I think I keep saying this over and over, but I think it's something that we don't do enough, is that we don't ask people for help. And so by not asking people for help, we can't get what we need. And for a long time, that was the issue of mine as well, is that, I'm Superwoman, I'm going to do everything by myself. And so my issue is that sometimes that even with my friends, okay, this was like, this person always wants something from me, but they don't never do anything for me. But I found that it was more so me not asking versus that person who had been asking, so sometimes we really just need to, ask for help and connect with people over positive things. You don't want to bring negative things back in your life, because once you keep talking about those negative things, you will continue to pour that negative back into you that you don't need, and it may push you back to that place you were no longer trying to be at. So connecting with others really requires you to be exposed to new things and trying new things and loving on people and caring for people and, offering help and support. And, and if your life has never been good with connecting with other people, give other people what you desire out of relationships. If you've never experienced any good relationships, just give that whomever you're connecting with what you desire in a relationship, and they will and what they will actually see is that, okay, there are good people in here. And then sometimes people will give you back what you desire from them when you're connecting with them, and sometimes they won't. And we often think that people we often think that if we give something to someone else, they're supposed to give it back to us, the very same thing. But those things are that's not always the case, because sometimes people don't know really what you need. You may be giving in a way, but that was your language of giving. Many people have heard of the 5 love languages. The way I give may not be the same as someone else do. The 5 languages are affirmation, gifts, quality time, physical touch, and I'm missing one. But I'll get back to it. So, yes, so, our way of giving may not be the way someone else gives back. And you have to just have your ears open, like Toya said, is, your ears open and your eyes open to understand, okay, how is this person giving back to me? Because the way you expect, it may not be given back to you in that same manner. And then that's where communication has to come in. When we connect with others, communication, like Al said, is that closed mouth doesn't get fed. So when communicating with someone else, based upon what you expect and what that other person expects, that's where communication comes involved. We don't often communicate enough, especially when we're dating, or we're trying to get in relationships, or we're having business relationships, or whatever it may be. We don't communicate enough. And so by us not communicating, that leaves a lot of open gaps, and people get angry because they feel like their needs are not being met. And so communication is very important, but communication also, is not just expressing what you desire, but also hearing what that other person desires. And so listening is very important, because sometimes I myself too, even with my relationship with my husband, sometimes I'm so antsy, and it has a lot to do because I forget things sometimes when I'm speaking, which I probably should carry around a notepad. But sometimes when I'm having a conversation with my husband, I can also get very happy, and I actually he's ruining my focus. But when I am communicating with my husband, I communicate. Sometimes I listen, but then if there's something that I feel like that needs to be expressed, I can sometimes like go ahead and write it and say it, and not give him an opportunity to get his full thought out. And even I've got to the point where if there's a pause there, I still like go ahead, but sometimes he's not finished and sometimes he is. But so you know, even I have to work on my communication with my husband, because you know, ongoing, because you know, we have to listen, take time more to listen. And I think I do need to carry around a notepad so I can write those things down that I have in my head. But communication is very important when connecting with others. If you're not communicating, it's hard to get your needs met. And for the other person to get their needs met, and to actually listen to what they're saying and utilize it, because sometimes we can hear it, but we're not actually listening to what that person needs or is saying. So communication is beyond important. Like sometimes, like even when we're communicating with people and we care about them deeply, we don't want to say things that hurts them. So my husband and I, we actually have this thing where we do every now and then, is that we came up with, it's called a truth moment. So I know it's going to sting. So with the truth moment, what we do is we actually say, well, can we have a truth moment? And so he already knows when I say, or he says, or if he says, can I have a truth moment? We know, okay, this is something serious. But yeah, it is mainly me and Demetrius. You're having side conversations. So, so it's mainly me. So we'll have a truth moment, and he has to prepare himself for whatever is going to be said, because you know, and he has to be ready to receive it. So in that truth moment, he has to be prepared to see it and not have his guard up when I say it. And so when we communicate whatever that truth is, he has to be able to receive it and hear and be able to connect and hear exactly what I'm saying. Even if it doesn't come out right initially, because, or, you know, sometimes when I have a truth moment, it's normally I've been thinking about it for a while. And so, it generally comes out right. And so I have time to express exactly what I mean by it. And so, it's very important that, you know, you be honest in all relationships. And so with my husband, I have honesty here. This is a card that my being honest, that my husband used when he did the Crossroads ministry for our church. He had characteristics of a friend, and so this is a card that says honest. So yeah, we really have to be honest in our communication with other people. That way, you know, we can continue to have a good relationship, because when we're honest, you know, that not only helps build them, but it helps build us as well, because we're practicing good communication. And so that way we both can be edified, and that we can, you know, we can grow from it. Communication, honest communication, everybody should be able to grow from, because we all have true feelings, whether or not the other person agrees with what we're saying, but those are our honest feelings. That's the way we feel. Even though that feeling may be coming from something else, it's our honest feeling. And so when a person can accept your honest feeling, or be able to hear your honest feeling and use it and take it in consideration, then that's when relationships grow. When you connect with people and your relationships will have an opportunity to grow. When you connect with people, we had a conversation the other day about connecting with others. Some people have their guard up, and they just really don't want to deal with certain people. There's people like your coworkers. There's people that you run into at church. You just don't really want to deal with them. But we had a conversation about how people are often drawn to light. And so if there's something about you that people are drawn to, maybe that you're happy all the time when you're where you're at work, or you just always smiling, and you know, or you just something about you that, you know, draws people to you. And so you don't really want to deal with them, but you know, people are often drawn to light. And so when they see light, you know, they feel like they can trust it, and they can, you know, there's strength in light. And so that light can be the guide on you, and people are drawn to it. So don't turn them away, even though you don't really want to deal with them. They're drawn to light, and there's some things that you can shed onto their, you know, shed light. You can shed light onto their life when they come to you. And so don't turn them away. And that's when, you know, even though they're drawn to you, that's when you go back to the circle here. You know, you may keep them in this circle right here, this part right here, it's in distance still, but you know, you can still have that relationship with them to where, you know, you can shed some light on their life. You may be able to tell them something great, or you can be honest with them about whatever it is that they're going through. Because sometimes people, when they're drawn to light, they have a tendency to pour everything on you and say, how do you, and you, when people, they pour things onto you, you don't really want to hear everything about their life, but sometimes there's some things that God's placed in you, or even your own experiences, that you can do. You know, you can shed light on it, and we are supposed to be the light of the world. And so that's our responsibility. Even though we don't want to be close to them, you know, they're still in that circle, you know, our boundary, the outer circle, but still we have a responsibility to help people's lives be better. How do you deal with coworkers that complain? Oh my gosh. So how do you deal with coworkers that complain all the time? Hello to everybody. I'm sorry. Hello to everyone that joined just recently. How do you deal with coworkers that complain all the time? That is a very challenging thing, but if you are that light, it takes a lot of prayer. It takes a lot of prayer, one, but of course you keep your distance, but you also, like, just me, what I often do is when I have coworkers that are complaining a lot, I often say, I try to reframe it and be like, well, it's better than yesterday. You know, you could have a client that's giving you hell, you know, that's tearing everything up, or keep getting thrown out of their apartments or whatever. You know, just try to share. I'm saying those kind of things I deal with, but that complains all the time, you know, that's an opportunity for you to shed light into their life, and for you to say, okay, well, you're complaining about this, but what good is going on in your life right now? They're trying to change their way of thinking. And so that's my way of doing it, is just try to shed light and try to be light for them, and say, you know, try to find the positive that's going on all the time. It's like, you know, you can't always, if you're always complaining about the negative things that's going on in your life, when will you ever see the good that's going on in your life? When will you decide to be happy about your life? You know, there's a lot of things, you know, look at the world around us. There's a lot of people who don't have places to live. There's people who don't, you know, who don't have their children because of unfortunate situations. There's people who don't have food to eat tonight. There's people who don't have jobs, who can't find jobs, who have degrees and spent plenty of money on their degrees and can't find jobs. But, you know, you're choosing to complain about the fact that your coworker told you to do an extra assignment. You have a job. You're still getting paid. And you're getting paid on time, because there's people out there who don't get paid on time. I mean, so my way of doing that is to shed light on the situation and just be honest. You know, honesty, sometimes we're scared to be honest with people because we think we're going to hurt their feelings. But what we're doing, this is something I had to learn myself too, is not that we're going to hurt their feelings. What we're doing by shedding light on them, on their situation, is that we're actually helping them, because otherwise we'll be hurting them by not telling them the truth. So sometimes they need to hear, and we don't have to be harsh when we tell the truth. We just, you know, just give reality, and sometimes we don't even have to say anything. We ask them the question. So what's going good on your life? You know, what could be worse right now? What happened good last week? What happened good this week so far? You know, sometimes we have to, you know, redirect them and look, it's just like, I can't, and sometimes you got to be really honest. Like, I can't take all your complaining. I need peace in my life. I can't deal with a whole bunch of complaining. And so if you're going to complain, I can't deal with you. I'm sorry. I can keep you from a distance. And it goes back to that circle. But we are supposed to be the strength to the people around us, and sometimes, when we're going through ourselves, we still have to be that strength. And sometimes, we have to, just shed light. And sometimes when we're strength to others, when their time of need, even when we need them, we also sometimes we get what we need out of it. And sometimes we don't. But that's okay, because, eventually, God will shed light on the situation that we're dealing with. So, any more questions? Good talks. So, and sometimes, like, when you have people who complain all the time, you have to be warm-hearted and show them love. You're loving on people. It doesn't have to be hugging them physically or whatever, but loving on them with your words and with your presence can go a long way when you're connecting with other people, especially if they're so pessimistic and they have so much negative in their life. It's hard, but you can do it. And it's necessary sometimes, because then just being around you changes people sometimes, because they see, okay, I'm sure she's probably going through some things. I'm sure he's probably going through some things, but because he's always smiling, because he's always got a good outlook about life, maybe, I need to change the way I think. Maybe I should need to be a little more happier about my circumstances. And if I'm not happy, maybe I need to do something to change it. And so, connecting with others, that's just the surface of, connecting with others. The next time I will probably be talking more about connecting with others on an intimate level. So, is there anybody got anything else to say? Anything? So we talked about, initially I gave us some examples of connecting with self. Just to run through those again, he said just pick a time of prayer and meditation. Discover what helps you relax. What do you need to feel happy and revived? You make a list of those things. Think about what you enjoyed, whether it be last week, last month, the last 2 to 10 years. Whatever you enjoyed prior to what caused you to be exhausted or unhappy. Think about those things in a quiet environment where you can have time to really think and connect. Try various things, trying different things that you want to try or you have yet to discover, or things that you have discovered and you want to try it again. Try those things. Those help connect with yourself and you feel revived and happy again. Make time to do those things. So schedule it. Like, have a reoccurring schedule. So like I said before, on Saturdays, Saturday is my self-care day. And so no matter what I do, I always do something I like. And so it's a reoccurring thing. And even when I feel exhausted, like if I had an exhausting week or I'm midweek, I sit and I don't do anything. And no matter how much I feel like I need to do it, I do what I need to do. I pray, I meditate, I do whatever I need to do to connect back to myself. And other things that could probably also help is do random things. Be random. Be spontaneous. Don't think about it. Don't give it too much thought, because you start thinking about it, you talk yourself out of doing it. So as long as it's within your means, do those things. When it's trying to connect with yourself. But, even if you get off schedule with, connecting with yourself regularly, pick up where you started off, because, it will happen. Life will happen, things will happen, and you will get off schedule. But just make up for it. Just keep going. So, with connecting with others, two of the things we talk about is considering what's good for yourself, your mind, body, and soul. Consider what your expectations are. Which is mostly boundaries. What boundaries are you setting? Because if you're starting over new, you have to be able to expose yourself to new things, and so you don't go back to that old way of living. And not allowing those bad things back in that would trigger you to go back to your old way of living. So communication is a must. Your expectations, which is boundaries. Communication. And if you don't like what a person's doing in your life, let them know. Let them know you won't tolerate it. And if you do like, let them know still. So communication is very important when you're connecting with others. And if people can't meet your needs, it's time to reevaluate what you need to do for yourself. Because, ultimately we are responsible for our own happiness. We can't depend on other people to make us happy. That's so vital, is that we are responsible for our own happiness. Nobody else is responsible for your happiness. If you can't make yourself happy, then you're not going to get it from somebody else, because a person bringing another person into your life or your situation to make you happy is not going to work, because they're a whole nother person. They want to live their life the way they want to live it, and when you bring that person into your life, you have to they have to consider you. And even so, even if they're considering you, there will be some point that they are never satisfying you and making you happy. Because when you're connecting with other people, when you come together, there's all these fingers. When you come together, there's tons of things that you have to consider and work through. And when you come together, it's a mess. It's not a mess. You're connecting, but these things all mean something. You're bringing all this stuff together. This one person has these issues, and this other person has this issues. And happiness can't occur with you two bringing your issues together. It's just going to be madness. So if you two know each other, or it's a group of people, if you two know yourselves, then it'll be easier in connecting, because you know what you want, they know what they want, and it's a lot easier. We'll go more into that next week. So when we talk about like connecting with others and understanding what it is we need to do, because when people come together, you bring yourselves, everything behind everything that's in your life, you're bringing to that person's life. And so we'll talk more about that next week. Hello everybody that recently joined. Please review the video and enjoy. I really appreciate everybody who joined me this week in discussing connecting with others. We will continue next week, next Monday at 7:30, and we will have another great discussion about connecting your social soul self. And so if anyone has any questions or would like more information from me, feel free to contact me at 984-664-2437, and we can discuss what I can do to help, and we can go from there. I appreciate everyone who's joined. You all have a great evening, and I will speak with you all next week. Or if you decide to connect with me with this week, feel free. You have a great night. Bye-bye.